A common question asked during every single weight loss journey. Should I have a cheat day and will it impact my weight loss? In this video, I'm not only going to answer that question for you, but I'm going to give you specifics on how you can implement a cheat day into your diet. Sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Before we get into the checklist, if you don't know who I am, my name is Joey Oheim. I'm the co-owner of DefaultKings.com, where I've worked with over 502 men to help them lose weight and fat sustainably. Now that you know why you can listen to me, let's get into it. First, you actually have to understand what a cheat day is. This is a day in which a person completely neglects their diet quality and sometimes quantity as well. So you can think the greasy foods, the ice cream sundaes, the alcohol, whatever your guilty pleasures are that you file under the tab as unhealthy would fall into foods that you would eat on a cheat day. Now, you can definitely find science that supports the idea that these cheat days, or otherwise known as diet breaks, can improve your metabolism, but you can find just as much data to show that that's not the case at all. However, on my channel, I like to speak directly from my personal experience coaching clients, and what I have seen is a tangible psychological impact on people's weight loss journeys when they implement things like cheat days. So let's spend the majority of our focus in the first part of this video on the psychological benefits that come with cheat days. To lay the context, you first have to understand how diets are traditionally defined in the fitness industry. It usually has to do with some sort of restrictive practice that removes specific nutrients from the diet. Think low carb, like keto, think low fat diets, think the carnivore diet, think veganism. Any of these traditional diets all have an element of restriction in them. Now, these restrictive diets fail nearly 100% of the time. All you have to do is go to Google right now and search how many people fail diets, and you will quickly find that 95% of people gain the weight back that they lost while on a diet within 3 years. And nearly a third of them will actually gain back even more weight than they had when they started the diet. So a big part of this problem in the industry, in my opinion, is the misunderstanding of what a diet actually is. Unfortunately, it's somewhat gotten pigeonholed into this restrictive eating challenge style solution that a lot of people frame it as in their mind. If you look up the true definition of diet, you'll find that really all it is just what you eat regularly. When you regularly add in something like a cheat day to your diet, what you normally eat, what you will find is it allows you an opportunity to have less restriction, which is a good thing, because typically the less discipline that your diet requires, the more likely you are to stick to it and sustain it long term. So psychologically, when you give yourself the opportunity to consume these things that you would normally crave and otherwise try to completely eliminate from your diet, like most of these restrictive models, you now have the freedom and enjoyment that you otherwise might have if you didn't restrict things. So that's where psychologically cheat days can be a good thing. But before we decide on whether or not you should have a full cheat day in your diet, you should probably also hear about the downsides of a full cheat day, because it might change your mind or your strategy just a little bit. So like I mentioned earlier, a cheat day is an entire day dedicated to the disregarding of the quality and oftentimes quantity of your food intake. And in a weight loss setting, this is obviously pretty dangerous, because typically when we consume foods that are low quality, they are also the same foods that are very easy to overeat from a quantity perspective, because they're high in highly refined sugars and carbohydrates, as well as low quality fats that release massive dopamine hits. It can quite literally be addictive. And the biggest determining factor in the number on the scale moving in the direction that you want it to is the quantity of food that you eat. So if you block off an entire day every single week dedicated to eating low quantity foods that are typically of the addictive nature due to how much dopamine they release because they're highly processed, often gonna lead to calorie overconsumption, eating too much, too high of a quantity, which is either going to further contribute to you getting more and more overweight, or at least slowing the rate at which you're losing weight. And a good way for you to start to conceptualize the impact that this can have on your weight loss journey is understanding something known as calorie lag. So let's say you are losing weight by targeting 2,000 calories a day. 2,000 times 7 days a week equals 14,000 calories per week is your limit. But if you have one day every single week dedicated to cheating on your diet, and say you splurge and go over by 2,000 calories, you now log 16,000 calories for the week, which actually is a net plus 2,000 calories for the week as a whole, which doesn't seem like much in a week-to-week basis, but if you extrapolate that out over the course of a month or 4 weeks, that means your calorie intake net at the end of the month is plus 8,000 over what it was supposed to be if you followed that limit of 2,000 calories per day every single day. Now, if you're not aware, in a scientific setting, 3,500 calories equates to about 1 pound of fat. So if you take that plus 8,000 calories that you consumed over your originally set limit and divide it by 3,500, it works out to about 2.2 pounds of fat. Now, since 2,000 calories was already a deficit for you, it doesn't mean that you would have gained 2.2 pounds of fat over the course of the month, but it means that you would have probably slowed your weight loss by a rate of 2.2 pounds of fat per month. So ask yourself, how much easier would your weight loss journey be if you were losing that extra 2.2 pounds of fat per month on top of the weight that you were already losing? When you think about it in that context, it makes cheat days sound a little bit intimidating. So should you have a cheat day? Well, it's really just about finding a balance in your diet. What's been a better alternative to cheat days for my clients has been cheat meals. Instead of dedicating an entire day to eating like a 10-year-old, take those 1 to 3 meals that you would normally eat on a full-blown cheat day and disperse them throughout the week as individual meals. The big key here is make sure that you still adhere to your calorie limitations, because even reducing a full cheat day to just 1 to 3 cheat meals per week doesn't mean you can't still blow through your intended calorie limit that you set for that whole week. Which would of course lead you to a positive calorie net, more calories than you intended on consuming across the course of a week. Now, very few fitness talking heads want to admit this, but as long as you are eating the proper quantity of calories, you can still lose weight without worrying about the quality of those calories. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not sitting here telling you to go and only eat garbage food that tastes really good. We already discussed how that can be dangerous, because typically the foods that taste really good are also the foods that are very highly addictive and very calorie dense with refined carbohydrates and unhealthy fats and oils. So that can be a dangerous game to play. You should still aim to eat a mostly clean and unprocessed diet. Probably 80% of your calories should be unprocessed. But to sustain this long term, it's also important to understand that food is more than just fuel. It's experience, it's culture, it's fun, and of course, it tastes good. So you shouldn't be afraid of eating these things that might otherwise be qualified as unhealthy, as long as you are eating the proper amount of it. And one last thing, it might be worth just considering no longer framing these as cheating at all. Because if you plan for it, are you actually cheating on anything? Or is it just a part of the new diet that you've constructed with a goal of sustaining it and enjoying it long term? Now, if you're a guy that wants to learn more about how my team and I will work with you one-on-one using our default actions framework to help you lose 10 to 30 pounds of fat in the next 12 weeks, and how we'll refund you in full if you gain a single pound back after working with us, go to defaultkings.com. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. While this video answered whether or not you should have a cheat day, this video right here will tell you why you should avoid meal plans when losing weight.